Hey, I'm just out here trying out this new camera stabilizer thing. We'll see how it works. And also thinking of you, the potential first-time home buyer. Maybe you're tired of paying rent, low bridge. Maybe you're sick of the landlord jacking it up whenever they feel like it. Tired of not building any equity, whatever. The point is, you're ready to get in the game and buy your first home. Now, at first glance, it can seem a little scary. 30-year mortgage, I need how much for a down payment? I know, it can all seem a little daunting, but I would argue it's actually considerably less scary than it seems, and the risks greatly outweigh the rewards. But as a first-timer, there's still a whole bunch of things you're gonna wanna know. So with that in mind, let's go back inside because it's kinda hot out, and here's a list of 8 things for first-time home buyers to know. Okay, so here they are. Number 1, save for a down payment. I know, it's obvious. But this is one of the biggest barriers that people have in getting into home ownership. They don't have the money to come up with that massive down payment. However, it might not be as massive as you think. You don't need 20% down, you don't need 10% down, and in many cases, you don't even need 5% down. In a lot of situations, you can get away with bringing 3% down to closing. Okay, so 3% down on a $400,000 house, that's still 12 grand plus closing costs. How am I supposed to come up with that? Well, there are programs to help. Denver in particular has a lot of good down payment assistance programs, and not just ones for first-time home buyers. In many cases, the restrictions are just that you can't make a salary over a certain amount of money. And if you do make more than that amount of money, you're not gonna need these programs anyway. In fact, one time utilizing one of these programs, I had a buyer bring $700 to the closing table. Now, that was after we brought a few grand for earnest money when we signed the contract, but still, that's a pretty easy in to home ownership. Number 2, talk to a lender when you start the process. Here's why. A lender's gonna take a look at your finances and tell you exactly what you can afford. You probably have a pretty good idea of what you can afford, but a lender's gonna analyze all your financial documents. Then they'll break down what you can do as far as purchase price, how much money you'll need to bring to the table, what your principal and interest payments are gonna be, and all that fun stuff. Which brings me to number 3. By the way, how's this shirt color? Too much? Get pre-approved before you make an offer. I know this is so boring and you hear it from every real estate agent and lender you've ever talked to. I'm sorry I'm even saying it, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's so important. We cannot make an offer on a home unless you have a pre-approval letter. That's just the way the market is. It might change, but that's gonna be the case for a long time here in Denver, so we need that pre-approval letter before we even start looking. All right? All right. Number 4, look under your maximum budget. You just heard me mention the Denver market. Yes, it's a very strong seller's market and has been very tough for buyers in the recent past. Now, things are starting to calm down a little bit as of the time of this recording. Things will continue to level out, but it's still a desirable place to live. It's still gonna be a strong real estate market. So the reason you don't wanna look just at homes that are $500,000 if your maximum budget is $500,000 is because the really good ones, at least for the time being, are probably gonna go a little over asking. If your budget's $500,000, I'm probably gonna set up the search parameters to be somewhere like 400,000 to 550,000. The reason for that is because we want to see everything in the 400s, so if we find a match, we're able to come in and make a really strong offer 10, 20, 30, maybe even more over asking price and get you that house. And we go up to 550 because as more things start sticking on the market, we don't want to miss out on something that may have been on the market a while and maybe dropping the price that we could get for your budget, even if it's listed a little bit higher. Number 5, choose an agent carefully. Now listen, in most situations as a buyer, you're not responsible for paying a real estate agent at all. That comes from the seller side. So this conversation about should I use one, should I not? It's not really a conversation. Use one, please. But especially as a first-time home buyer, a real estate agent is going to guide you through the process. So you need someone to guide you through the process. Very, very important to have a good real estate agent that's on top of it, that's communicative, and is just gonna be there for you. A good way to go about this is get a referral from a friend who's had a really good experience. And in many cases, it's a good idea to interview more than one real estate agent. Talk to them, see what their approach is, see what their communication style's like, and really just see who you vibe with. You're gonna be in the house hunting foxhole with this person for months or even longer. You want it to be a pleasurable experience with someone you enjoy and someone who's on top of their business. Number 6, get an inspection. Now, this is a normal part of the buying process. Between contract and closing, there are a lot of things that happen, and inspection is usually one of them. But in a strong market, like the one we've seen in Denver, sometimes, in order to win bidding wars, people will do things like waive inspections. Please do not do this.
Can't stress this enough.
This is probably common sense, but a home inspection is a crucial part of the process and one that can unearth potentially major issues with a home. If you don't have an inspection, you don't know about any of that until you move in. I don't want your home sliding down the mountain because you didn't get the foundation looked at. There are certain situations in which it makes sense to waive some contingencies in order to make your offer stronger. This is not one of them. And number 7, figure out what you actually need and what you don't. When you start looking for homes, it's a good idea to sit down and create 3 different little lists. Needs, nice to haves, and don't really cares. The truth of the matter is that even people that are on their 3rd or 4th homes usually don't get everything they want once they go out looking. It's just not the way it works. So you need to figure out where you are okay sacrificing and where you're definitely not. You may need a nice big yard, but don't really care if the kitchen's updated. You might definitely want to be in a certain area, but are okay with a smaller home. It's all about finding that balance. And doing this exercise ahead of time is going to ensure that during the process, you stay focused on what you really want. If you decide that your needs are everything, that's actually okay, but I'm gonna need about $2 million to work with. And number 8, there are plenty of fish in the sea. It's happened to all of us. We start looking and we find this house that's just great and we miss out on it, and it's discouraging because we'll never find a house that great again. Or we find this great house and we want to make an offer and we like it so much that we make an offer including some things that aren't the smartest, like waiving an inspection. I know it's exciting and we want to get the right house, but the wisest way to approach it, I have found, is to not get sucked in. There's always another place, there's always another neighborhood, there's always another everything. If we keep this in mind, it allows us to maintain our leverage as buyers because we want to make strong offers, but we have to be okay that if that offer doesn't get accepted, there's gonna be something else. It might take longer than expected, but it'll always work in the long run. And maybe, just maybe, that house that you didn't get won't be as good as the one you finally do get. Bottom line, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Remember that. That's gonna do it. I wanna thank you for watching, and hey, thinking about moving to Denver? Check out this video we did on the pros and cons of living in the Mile High City. I'm gonna be honest with you, more pros than cons, but it's worth a look. If you wanna chat, I would love to, and I'm gonna post all the links of ways to get in touch with me below, and I will talk to you soon.